In this video, we're going to focus on how we can draw a chart where the bars are basically focused on a single position, even though they are negative values here, as you can see. And we'll make sure that this will be dynamic, so we'll extract the lowest value and then recalculate everything. So let's start look how to draw the positive and negative bars to a single direction in Chart.js 4. So we have here this border template, and this border template here you can find on chartjs3.com getting started, and this link you can find as well in the description box. Once you're on here, copy this chunk of code and you're good to go. Next, if you want to support my channel here, check out my Patreon page here, where you can get access to source code of this video and many more. And finally, do you want to join my Discord channel? Check out here the link, which I've put also in the description box. So what I'm going to do here is two things. Well, first of all, let's start to make sure that we have a negative value, because the issue here is what would happen if you would have, for example, a negative 18. If I do this, it points in the opposite direction. We don't want this. What I want to do is I want to push it always up. Well, what we're going to do here is the following. So what we're going to do is basically in the Y scale here, start with the very lowest value. That would be in this case minus 18. So what I can say here, instead of begin at 0, I'm going to move this. We're going to say a minimum will be minus 18. And later on we have to soft code this. So once we have this, you can see here this starts to work. But of course we have these lines here. We have to make sure that those are also removed, or at least it have a border everywhere. So we're going to say a border skip false. Save that, refresh. Now they're all nicely covered. But now what I want to do is I want from here pointing up to anywhere else. So this will be the lowest value, and let's say it will be negative 10, but the other should be all same structure. So how do we do this? Well, in here, what we're going to work with is basically what we call the data structure. So I'm going to remove this. And then we're going to say here we have an array, oh sorry, not an array, we're going to curly braces. We're going to say here the x value will be Monday string value. It must be identical, or you say index number 0. It's one or the other. Then for the y, we're going to create an array, and we're going to say our starting value will be minus 18, comma, and the ending value, which would be the very top, let's say minus 10. If I save, refresh this, oh, alright, let's double check what is the error. Unexpected token at 57. Let's see what's going on here. Alright, my bad. I thought this should be a curly braces, but it's not. It's an array in itself. So if I save that, refresh, there we are. So now we have the first one here. We could do them all. So what I will do just for the sake of it, I'm going to say here, comma, comma, comma. This will say index 0 or index 1, and we could say here, for example, Wednesday. So you see the differences. If I save this, you would see here all of them nicely covered. So if this would be, this could be number, I guess here, 6 positive, and let's make this 9 positive, and this will be negative 3. Save, refresh. Alright, so now we have these different values here. If we don't want too many of these, we can remove, of course, the labels, save, refresh. So that looks all fine. Of course, we cannot do it like this. This should be probably automated, because what would happen if the next value that you have would be minus 20? At that moment, it will go down, as you can see here, even if the tooltip is even aligning to it, but it cuts a part away. So what I want to do is make it intelligent enough so it will match the lowest value, whatever we have. So for that, let's start to work on this. We're going to say constant, and let's say we have all these data points, and I'll call this a data points array. And this data point array will be these values here, which is basically index y index 1. So I say minus 3, 6, and 9. So once we have this, that's our array. Next part, what we're going to look for here is the lowest value. Basically, this is the lowest value here that we have. That should be matching here. But what I can do is we can get this lowest value, and then we even deduct a certain value of it. So what I'm going to say here is a function. And in this function, I'm going to say here the lowest. And this lowest, whatever this is, because a constant low will be equal to math.min. And then in here, I'm going to say, get me the array that we just extracted. That's this one here. Put it in here. So once we did this, and then I'm going to say here to return whatever the value is. If I do now console log, and I'm going to say here the lowest, we should get the lowest value of the function. Basically, this is the function that we're triggering. So if I do this, we should get here -3. Alright, so this works nicely. So what we could do as well is say -3 to get a much lower value, as you can see here, as our starting point. So this could be anything you want, so you can look at that. What I will do with this is going to grab this, and then I'll say here whatever the minimum value is, like that. There we are. So next, what I want to do is I want to change this, because this here is right now, we have to remove this, because these are the official values. So those values here, and we have the low value here, that should automate everything in the Y area, basically. So how do we do this? I'm going to say here, function, and let's give this a name, convert to data array. And what I want to do here is get the data points array. Just grab the array that we have. This is the data that we're going to work with. And the data that we want here, basically we need a few items. I need to know the array. That's this one here, what we're going to work with. But also, basically all these values, but also the structure that we're going to make here need to match. So let's get first the lowest value then, because we need to get the lowest value as well. But the lowest value is based on this function here above. So I'm going to say constant lowest value equals the lowest in here. And then of course we're just going to grab here the data points array. Just this value here, because this value is a reference to this here. So it's one identical item here. So once we got this, another item is the structure, because I want to have the structure here like this correctly, or more specifically x and then y with 2 values. So what I'm going to do here, constant data array or data structure. This is basically a data structure that we want to match with. So I just give it the name of data structure. And in this data structure, I'm going to say here, for every data point array that we have, dot map, we're going to loop through each of these. So we're going to say here, for every value of that, and then the index, function arrow expression, and then in here, I'm going to create a new structure. So the structure will be, the x will be equal to the index. Remember that we have that here, so it will understand the index numbers. That's the first one. Then we're going to put a comma. I'm going to say y, and the y will be an array where we get whatever would be the lowest value, and then the official value here. So I'm going to say here the lowest value, comma, value. And then of course once we're done with that, I'm going to say here we want to return the value. So I'm going to say here return the data array or the data structure that we created. So we'll loop through this to make this and then return it. And let's see if we have everything correct here. Enough curly braces. Alright. Or parentheses, sorry. And then what I want to do here, of course, is to say, well, console log will be convert to data and get the array. Let's say, put it in here. See if we get a return value. Alright, unexpected token on 61. So probably we're missing some tiny items here. So we have the comma here. Here we have this, and then we have here the parentheses, and I suspect we need an additional parentheses somewhere here. Alright, then I have to have probably in here as well. Let me double check. Alright, so I double checked it here. It should be between here, because this is an object that we want. So there we are. And as we do this, we get the structure with the array 2 items in here. Absolutely wonderful. So now what I could do here is this item here. Well, let's say here, constant new data structure. I'll just give it like that. and then we put it in here, comma, save, refresh, and there we are. So let's test it. If we have a new value, say -6 instead of -3, so this should be even going down to 9, and as you can see here, this changes. Or what happened here, if I have here a -90, everything else will match nicely with it, and you can see here the scale matches nicely with this. And that's it.